and I thought I'd open it to the house for any questions you had for me or for the athletes or for Peter. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Tom. An open question, really. I mean, what do you think about alternative recovery measures? I mean, I have ice baths, for example. I find that very effective. So just talk a little bit about the other measures you use and the kind of techniques that you've heard about that might be effective.
Well, you know, I think they definitely help. Massage is good. You know, if you can get regular massage, I know our guys, we have a masseur on the camp out there. Very good thing to have regular massage. Ice baths are really good. I've used them in the past. And there's different things you can do. Again, it's like keeping it simple. It's going to help. These lots of little things are going to help, but it's not going to, you know, like I say, the training hard's going to be the bigger thing. But like I say, I'm not a coach. You know, I know a few things, and ice baths, massage, eating well at the right times are going to help.
A couple of questions. The night before, do you have pasta? Or what do you eat anything specific the night before a race? And the second question is, do you try and run it evenly, or do you try and do split negative times? Or
Okay, I live, when we have the Kenyans in the UK, they live with me. So I have ugali nearly every night. And I've really got used to it now, and so if possible, I do have ugali, but you know, any sort of carbohydrate meal I would have sort of the night before a race. With regard to running even paced or negative splits, I guess it's marathon you're talking about also. Half marathon, I would say I try and keep it pretty even. But marathon, I haven't quite got it right yet, but I really want to do negative splits. And if I can, like I say, all my previous marathons I haven't quite got there, but that's the aim, is I would like to do negative. I think if you look at any of the world records, most of the world records I should say, they're normally done negative splits. Paula's was quite a negative split. Patrick McCow's was a negative split, and I think Hailey's was before that as well. I think it's the best way to run a marathon. But again, easier said than done. If you've done the training, you should be able to. And one of the key things that I've been doing at the moment that I think is going to help this is having progression in my longer training runs. So getting quicker throughout the run and having the last, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, faster than marathon pace to get my body used to that. And that 3 laps of Richmond, the last lap was in 39 minutes. So it was the quickest of the 3.
So that's 7.2 miles in 39 minutes.
Yeah. Yes.
Tom, do you do, obviously the best way to do as much running as possible, but do you do anything else? Do you do any plyometrics or any weights?
I don't currently. I used to have when I used to live in Portsmouth, and I built a gym in my garage. And I did used to do not heavy weight, body weights mainly, like just conditioning really. One of the things that we feel is that, and this I've learned from the guides, is that all the running, especially the hill work, really makes you strong enough that you shouldn't have to do, your body should be strong enough, It sort of comes down to time as well. When you work in a full-time job, maybe you have to make a few sacrifices. You can't do everything you can like if you're a full-time athlete. One thing to do, be good to do is lots of stretching, but maybe that's one thing we neglect. But so like I say, I try and get most of my strength I do lots of hills, as much as I can.
What's your favourite workout?
Favourite workout? That's a good question. Favourite workout? I probably, I don't know, I'm thinking favourite as in most painful? Or because, I don't know, it's good when you finish a really, really tough session, that's what you probably get most satisfaction out of. I mentioned briefly that I did a 20-mile hill run in Iten. So this Iten is on the edge of an escarpment. It's absolutely beautiful, overlooking the Rift Valley. If you ever get the chance to go there, which Runfast are probably putting on holidays next year too. But it's a beautiful area. But they do a run from starting down in the valley and finishing in Iten. It's constant uphill for 20 miles. At altitude, so at 2,000 metres up to sort of 2,400. It was one of the hardest runs I've ever done, but when I finished that, it was really, really good feeling. I love track sessions, I love the hard track sessions, I love the feeling of the speed you get on the track. I also really like the long, hard runs with the sort of progression that I was mentioning in.
Just one last question. So you're doing the marathon training. Can you just still do some more sort of speed work? Just do.
Yeah, I think speed is very, very important when you're training for a marathon. You know, the faster you can run 1 mile in, the easier it is going to be to say, please don't neglect your speed work. So every week I'm on the track. Normally our track sessions are about 10k in volume, 10k up to 12k, but we work at sort of 5 to 10k pace, so really working on this. Peter's sessions that he sets are I really like them because they're really mixed up in paces. We don't do the sort of standard sort of like 10 by k or something. They're always different lengths of reps at different speeds, so whether it's a 3k speed and then a 10k one. But really working on a speed that's a lot quicker than the marathon pace. So when you get to the marathon pace, it feels easier.
What's the shortest interval? What's the shortest distance that you do for an interval when you train for marathon?
If we can
300.
Yeah, 300. But that would be mixed in normally with maybe longer rep.
I just wondered, I've always wondered about races in Kenya, like your Nairobi half marathon, for example. Do they pack up the finish line after 65 minutes? Or do you... Do they have fun runs on slow runs? Are races anything like they are in the UK? What do these guys think of running races when people are doing fancy dress and taking
That's a very good question, actually. That's a good question. Because if you take running in the UK, for example, I mean, what percentage would you say are fun runners and what percentage would you say are, people that are doing it to really try and get the best out of elite runners? It's probably 90% fun runners, maybe even more. In Kenya, it's the total opposite. You get 90% of people doing it because they want to make a living out of it. They want to, and then you do, well, I don't know if I've ever seen it, but you do get in the Nairobi, because there's more sort of Western people there, you do get some fun runners. I've never seen. Have you ever seen a fancy dress runner? What do you think when you see someone running in a fancy dress? You think they're crazy?
Something
Crazy. They think, why do they do that?
Do you think then that's why, or one of the reasons why Kenya are just so good in such big numbers, and the UK top end is actually...
I think a number of reasons. They train in massive groups, which really helps. I would love to have a really nice training group in the UK, and one thing we're trying to work on is to bring a lot of the top British guys to train together. You get so many guys, one's training, even in London, you'll have some really good guys, like sub 30, 10k runners, but they're all training on their own. Why not come together and push each other? And it's one of the things, they're all training big groups and they're all pushing each other every day. But then there's a bigger pool as well to come from, isn't there? There's a lot more elite runners out there, so there's going to be more coming through.
Tom, could you talk us through
an average training day for you, including what you eat and how much you sleep?
For me,
Yeah.
yeah, sure. Probably a good example would be a Tuesday, because I do different things. So normally I get up at 6, just before 6. We go out running, normally about 6:30. Like I said, I live with the Kenyans when they're here, so I'm knocking on the doors, waking them up. Come on, training. We will do maybe 45 to an hour run in the morning. Then I have to go straight, I get back, quick shower, straight to work. I'm very lucky that I live a 5-10 minute walk to work, so I'll leave these guys to have their breakfast in peace, and I'll have my breakfast at work. And I'm a fan of porridge, like many runners, which I've been having for many years. Porridge, a cup of tea, and an orange juice. That's what I've been having for as long as I can remember. Work a full day's work, then come home at 6-7 o'clock, and then on Tuesdays we're talking. We go to the track for 7:30, and then we do the track session. Come home, have our ugali and cabbage.
What do the Kenyans do in the time, when
Well, so the difference between me and the Kenyans, I go to work all day, they'll have their breakfast, then they'll go to bed. They'll sleep for a few hours, they'll get up, they'll chat, they'll sit around, they'll play their Kalenjin music. This guy's quite a dancer. There's actually something on YouTube with him, or maybe if you're nice I'll show you. See, he knows. They'll cook their lunch, they can take their time over this. It's part of their sort of social aspect is cooking the food together and eating it together, and then they'll probably have another sleep after lunch, and then wait for me to come home, and then we go to the track together. And then they come back and kindly they'll cook my dinner. They don't make me do that. I think because they don't trust me with the ugali. Yes.
You said that the more mileage you do, your time starts coming down. I know you said you're doing 100, 120 miles a week. Did you see your times dropping? What were you doing? How did you increase it? And did your time start dropping? And were there any injuries when you were increasing that volume of mileage?
Well, again, it's you get to a point where it's a fine balance between doing too much and getting injured. Most top athletes, they're on a fine line between getting injured and being like on the absolute level. For me, like as I told you, I've been running for many years. I did it the sensible way and gradually built that mileage up over the years. I think when I started university, maybe I was doing 50-60 miles a week, and every year my average would go up by about 10-15 miles a year until I was up to where I am now. I've actually gone quite a bit higher in the past than this, where I think my most mileage when I'm training for a marathon is 163 miles, but I've averaged nearly 140. But it's getting the balance, and it's as well being able to do the hard things. If you're just really pushing to get this mileage, then maybe you're not recovering enough to do the really hard stuff. So it's getting the balance. I did see a good improvement over the years. I think I was PBing every year until 2010, and then I sort of had a stale year, and that's when I made the decision to go to Kenya. Unfortunately, it was such a change for me that it didn't quite work first time round. I think so much new stuff, so much to learn, but it took me a while before I saw the benefits of that. And unfortunately, before the Olympics, before I could do the qualification race, I got an injury through being accidentally tripped up in the Bath half marathon and hit both my knees really hard and couldn't run for about 3 months, which was unfortunate, but one of these things. But I did see that improvement, especially through the early years when I was gradually building up that mileage. And I've been very, very lucky. Apart from injuries like that one where I tripped or I twisted an ankle many years ago, I've had no other injuries. I'm very lucky. Any other questions?
Do you think you'll be the first Brit
Yes.
in Frankfurt?
Yes. I've got to say what I preach. No, I do. Honestly, I do. Yes.
Have you got a target time?
Yes. But I'm not telling you. You know, I'm a believer of actions speak louder than words, so what will be, will be. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you.